Okay, so I'm going to bring this down to the grassroots level. We've heard from some amazing speakers, starting with the macro level. But really, we are all having a detrimental effect on planet Earth every single day. Our interactions impact the climate change crisis. Whether we believe climate change is real or not, it is real. And as we've heard today, whether we think we can do something about it or not, we can. And all of our choices matter. But one choice, one that we make before 9 a.m. every day, has a detrimental effect. Every drink of coffee that we have produces 32 grams of ground coffee waste. So we have an asymmetry of care with coffee. We focus so heavily on the quality of coffee with every step of the process. As you can see from where the farmer grows the beans in Colombia, in Ethiopia, in Tanzania, that they're paid ethically and practiced sustainably, to how it's roasted here in Melbourne, that we take the utmost care to ensure that we taste the flavour notes of apricots and blueberries when it's handed to us in our cup by our barista. Every step of the process is quality controlled until the water passes through those beans. 32 grams of waste from every coffee we have is knocked into a knockbox under the bench in our cafe, taken to a bin out the back, thrown in a stinky garbage truck with a lot of other rubbish, and destined for landfill, destined for a hole in the ground. This is the problem we're contributing to. Coffee in landfill does not receive oxygen. It breaks down anaerobically in that big pile, translating to methane gas in the atmosphere. This toxic gas is 40 times more potent than carbon pollution from our cars, 40 times worse. So every coffee we drink is having a big impact. And it's only going to get worse if we keep at the rate that we drink coffee, which we will. 60,000 tonnes of coffee is going to landfill in Australia every year. If we bring that closer to home, 4,500 tonnes in the city of Melbourne alone, basically the CBD, this is 8,500 tonnes of that toxic gas. So let's take the 200 coffees we had here today. In the CBD, today, 350,000 lattes will be destined for landfill. Every day that we don't consider where our coffee's going, that we don't consider our choices, and that we ultimately make the wrong choice, we are sending gas into the atmosphere. The coffee bean is threatened. This is a problem that can solve itself. That's the amazing thing. Coffee is considered black gold in the gardening world. I don't know how many gardeners are here. But it can be used to grow food, amazing food. Compost love it, worms love it. And so the waste of coffee is a missed opportunity. And in the countries where coffee is grown, they experience climate change the most. And we will feel the effect here. Coffee bean is going to become a luxury item. I don't know about you, but this is not my ideal picture of the future. I really need my 2 long blacks a day. I am from Reground, as said, and we are working hard to create a different future. In our world, we BYO bags to the supermarket. We have reusable coffee cups that we use. We say no to straws. We ride our bikes on days maybe not like today, but most of the time. We are making these small choices that have a huge impact. And now our coffee choice can also have a huge impact. At Reground, we have designed a solution where us as customers now have a choice. We're taking coffee from cafes and taking it to local community gardens where they use it to grow food instead of it being sent to a hole in the ground. We're changing the face of waste. I never knew I would enjoy so much jumping through bins and, I guess, as Dan said, getting down and dirty, because we can change the behaviour and the mindset around waste. Every single week at Reground, we're diverting about 165,000 lattes from landfill. Was yours one of those lattes this week? Would you like it to be? In our future, no coffee ends in landfill. In our future, everything that's created is used and reused and used again, not thrown away. This is not a fantasy. This will be a reality. We just have 3 things that are standing in our way. The first problem, our first challenge, is that people don't know. We all need to know that our coffee choices are having an impact, are sending gas into the atmosphere, are undoing good choices that we're currently doing. Public social conscience is increasing around climate change, with the ban on bags, the supermarkets doing their part, saying no to straws in our cocktails, saying no to reusable cups. However, no one is talking about the coffee. Why? We interact with coffee daily, a few times a day. Some of us need it to sustain us. But we don't know it's a problem. And if we don't know, we can't do anything about it. If we don't know, nothing will change. Empathy is really hard to cultivate when we're so far removed from the problem. But the thing is, our daily habits are really connected to the problem. So how many people here now know that their coffee habits are having an effect on planet Earth? Yes. Okay, this is where we like to see 200 hands. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Our second issue, businesses do not take responsibility for their waste. We need to get businesses to put a value on their waste. This is black gold. 73% of Melbourneites would choose to support a socially and environmentally responsible cafe rather than the alternative. 73%. That is good for business. When businesses start looking at their waste, they will save money, they will help the planet, and they will have more satisfied customers because we now all know about the problem and demand a different solution, right? About 35 years ago, we never even used to recycle. It blows my mind. But just under 40 years ago, we used to put everything in the same bin. Now recycling is a norm. Just like sending coffee to gardens will be a norm. Once businesses know, they will respond. It's a natural process. Businesses will need to step up. Our third challenge, potentially our biggest, but depending on how full your glass is, I think easiest to influence. We need to initiate and accelerate the conversation between people and business. We really just need to get us talking. Our chat needs to change from being about the wonderful weather to being about waste. How many people would feel comfortable asking their barista, where's my coffee waste going? Or, yes, we've got some hands already. What's your stance on coffee cups? Or your local supermarket, what happens with the plastic packaging? I think most people would not feel comfortable asking that question. And speaking from personal experience, I love asking questions. If you ask any of my friends, third row, much to their dismay, I ask a lot of questions, but I value curiosity. And even though I do love asking questions, I felt entirely awkward asking cafes this. Sometimes I still do. But when we realise that curiosity pushes for transparency, and transparency creates better practice, and better practice in waste will lead to a healthy planet, then we will be happy people. This is our only task. So we need to stop. We don't need to be vigilantes. You don't need to be tying yourselves to trees or protesting in the streets. I mean, you can do that, but it has to be simple, consistent change. And it has to happen before 9 a.m. after all, so it cannot be too complex. As far as saving the world goes, I feel like I'm giving you a pretty easy out. This can be done today. We just need to connect. Connect with our coffee waste. As I said at Reground, we are doing this. We've created a solution where businesses can do better practice with their waste, where customers can look for the Reground certification on a cafe window and use that as a directory of where they want to buy their coffee, where we now all have full transparency on where coffee waste is going and that it's going to grow food and not to a hole in the ground. We've diverted over 250,000 kilos of coffee from landfill in the past 2 years. This is just from about 85 cafes that are currently working with Reground. Can you imagine the 5,000 cafes in Melbourne or the tens of thousands of cafes in Australia? So I implore you on the grassroots level to make the right decision with your easiest decision. If each and every one of us today, tomorrow, we've already had coffee. Tomorrow, asked our barista, instead of scrolling through Instagram while you're waiting for your latte to be made, where's my coffee waste going? That's 200 cafes that will know. That's probably about 70,000 lattes that will not be destined for landfill, that could be used to grow food. So I ask you, just ask.